So we're now coming to the end of the Hagadah part of the Passover night, and after this we're going to eat the matzah and eat the bitter herbs and etc. But we're dealing with the part of which is called Magid, which means telling the whole story of going out of Egypt and what it was. So interestingly, the God takes a sentence from the Torah. Let's see what this is. Here, 1 second. Here, like it. Shenemar, Arami Oved Avi. So we're going to have 4 sentences, and we're going to interpret each one of these and explain all the implications of how it refers to the enslavement of the Jews in Egypt and the suffering of the Jews in Egypt and the miraculous redemption of the Jews from Egypt, etc. Okay, so let's just have a look at those sentences. Here we go. I hope you'll be able to see this. Do you see that? 1 second. Let's do this here like this. Here. Oh, here it is. All right. Do you see this? I hope you do. Yes? Huh? You see it? Is anything unusual coming up? This is the sentence from the beginning of Parshas Kitavo. Here, you know what? Let's just do it like this. We'll do it this way so that everyone will be for sure. We'll see it here. There it is. Okay. This is in the book of Deuteronomy. Yeah, a little bit above, a little after the middle. And this is the Torah portion called Kitavo. And it talks about that when you come to the land of Israel, that God gave you and you take it over and you settle in it, and then you plant fruits. You should take from the first fruits and put them in a basket, and you go to the temple, the place that God chose, and you come to the Kohen, you come to the priest that is in those days, and you will say, and here, right, V'yigadati hayom, I am saying today to God, Kiboti ala oretz, I've come to the land that God promised to our forefathers to give to us. Okay? But the Kohen then takes this basket full of your first fruits. The fruits are the first fruits of the grapes and olives and dates and figs, pomegranates. And they take the first fruits of that. The Kohen, you bring it to the Kohen. Kohen takes it from your hand, and he says, then he takes it from your hand and he puts it in front of the altar, in front of God, and then you say in front of God, and what do you say? Here it goes. And now these 4 sentences are going to be the ones that we're going to explain now in the Passover Seder. Here they are, right? This is ones we've been dealing with now. Okay, so what are the sentences here? Arami Oved Avi. There was an Aramite, that's Lavan, the father of the 2 wives of Yaakov, Arami Oved Avi, that he wanted to destroy Yaakov. And then after that, Yaakov had children, but he went down to Egypt and just to dwell there. And they were very few. How many? Only 70. And we were there for a great nation. At Sumbarab, right? We've explained that now in the Hagadah, right? That they became great. Sentence number 1. Number 2, the Egyptians treated us badly, and they tortured us, and they gave us hard work. Right? We explained that also. Sentence number 2. Sentence number 3, and we cried out to God, the God of our fathers, and God heard our voice, and he saw our suffering and our torture and the pressure. And finally, the last sentence, and God took us out of Egypt. Over more gadol, and with a great, was an awesome deeds God did, but also all sorts of signs, mamovsim, and miracles. There it is. Okay, and then it continues that. You continue praising God for the fruits that you brought, and etc. So this is in a nutshell the whole story of the Jewish people going down to Egypt, suffering, and getting out. Good? Yes. Now let's go back to where we were. Oh, we do this like this? Oh. Yeah. Stop the share 1 second. New share. Oh. All right. I hope you see this. Here's the Hagadah. Yeah. All right. So now we're explaining the sentences, right? We went out to Egypt, we were forced, and etc. There were very few. We were only 70, and we became very many. Ravava, we were very multitudinous. The Jews became fruitful, and they multiplied down there in Egypt. And and they did bad to us. The Egyptians, they made us suffer. They made us suffer. They did terrible things to us. And we built the cities. We went over this. We went over that. Just wanted to show you where the source of these sentences are. And God heard our voice, like it says, and etc. And our suffering. And God took us out with a strong arm, right? That's what God did. And Biyad Chazakah. It says, Dever Kaved Mod. It says, Biyad Chazakah, a powerful hand. This was the Dever. The Dever, remember, that smote all the animals? 1 second. All right, so it says that God, the Dever, he smote the animals of the Egyptians, and then Zeru and Atuya, that's the Cherev. What does that mean? That's when God smote the firstborn. And B'mora Gadol, that God also says that he defeated all the angels, the powers of the Egyptians, with all sorts of miracles that God made. This is where we got up to. But also, this is the Mata, this is the sign, this is the staff of Moses, like it says, the staff that God told Moses, take the staff in your hand and do the miracles with them. And the miracles, that's the blood. The blood, not only was the blood in the sea, but also it says on the rivers, and everywhere there was blood. Right? That was a miracle that God made. That was the first of all the miracles. Okay, here we go. Then we say, Dam ve'esh v'timros ashan. Every time we say this, excuse me, now some people take their finger and dip it into the wine in the cup, and they take a little drop and they put it in a plate. But we in Chabad, we don't do that. We take the cup itself and we pour out a little bit. Altogether, we're going to pour out 16 times, little tiny bit each time. And that is to take out the severity and the negative things from the wine, because wine can also be a very negative thing. And it says that there's what's called yain peronios, that God sometimes makes the Jewish people drink from the wine of retribution if they don't do good. And eventually we was going to make as we see, he made the Egyptians drink from the wine of retribution. But nevertheless, whatever it is, retribution is not a good thing, no matter who he does it from. So therefore, this is removing the negativity from this. Okay, so we dip our hands, blood, fire, and pillars of fire. Pillars of fire. What happened over here? Something with the printing is wrong. Okay. Some people say with a powerful hand is 2. It was 2. With more gadol is 2. But Moses, this is 2. This is the 10 plagues. These are the 10 plagues that God. This is where it's hinted at that there were 10 plagues, and here they are exactly 10 plagues that God brought on the Jews. Dam, first in their order: blood, frogs, lice, mixed animals, a plague on the animals, boils. The hail came down with fire inside of the hail, locusts, darkness, and the plague of the firstborn. Each time we say this, you also tip the cup a little bit and you pour it into a what is it, a bowl or something. It's good if the bowl is broken or it's really second class, because it's not good. You're gonna pour all this out afterwards. Rabbi Yehuda, he would give, he made abbreviation. Datzach, Adash, Bahav. First letters: Dam, Tzad, Tzvardeya, Kinim. The same thing as here: Dalid, Tzvardeya, Kinim. The first letters of each, initials of each one. According to Kabbalah, it's brought in different books what this means Kabbalistically, but it's not now the time to go into it, and I don't understand it anyway, so it's no point in going. There's a book called the Shla, Shnei Luchot HaBrit, and you can see that there's Kabbalistic things, enough for us to know that God did shmais the Egyptians and gave them a little bit of what they deserved back then. And so we will do to all of our enemies now. Rabbi Yossi Aglili said, how do you know that in Egypt, God smote the Egyptians with 10 plagues, but when they chased after the Jews at the sea, so God gave them a whole big array of plagues. He gave them 5 times as much, 50. Because it says in Egypt, what does it say? The Egyptians said that this is the finger of God. And on the sea, it says, this is the hand of God. Hand of God. Hand has 5 fingers, right? So it's 5 times as much. Why are we trying to increase the number of these plagues? It says because there's a sentence that says, all of the diseases that I put on Egypt, I won't put on you. So we want to have as many as possible that won't be put on us. Because we're talking about the past, this already was. In Egypt, by the way, this is not necessarily talking about plagues that will fall on the non-Jews in the future. The non-Jews in the future. Maybe those who try to actively make war against the Jews and this, but I don't know if there's going to be such a thing. I hope not. If there is, then they'll get plagued. But the idea is that all mankind will turn to God. That's what we say in the Dayenu for every day. Or it's all the evil people will turn to the Creator because the Creator is creating them also, right? So in Egypt, the people saw God and they believed the God. Oh, it says that's what it says. The at the sea, it says that they saw the Egyptians saw what happened in Egypt. The people saw the God and they believed in God and in Moses, his servant. Right? That's the whole story. So let's take the beginning of the sentence again. It says here, it says, all the Jewish people saw the great hand of God that he did in Egypt, and they believed in God and in Moses. This is the only time Moses, interestingly enough, is mentioned in the Hagadah of Pesach, but he is mentioned. Some people say it wasn't mentioned. He is mentioned, and this is where he's mentioned, together with God, that the Jewish people believed in God and in Moses. Hey, that's not nice, putting Moses together with God. But that's not only is that nice, that's Judaism. That's not Judaism. If they didn't believe in Moses, they didn't believe in God. And if they didn't believe in God, they wouldn't believe in Moses. It was the same thing. Moses took them out of Egypt, so they believed in God and in Moshe. This is equating Moshe to God. Moshe is the Ish Elokim. And then he's the star, basically is the star of there are 3 stars. There's God, Moses, and the Jewish people. And they're all one. How many plagues did they get? In Egypt, 10. How many, therefore, in Egypt, they got 10 plagues. That was 1 finger. And on the sea, they got 50, which is a whole hand. Rabbi Eliezer, he says a little bit more. How on each plague that God brought to the Egyptians, in Egypt, there were 4 plagues. In Egypt, like it says, Charon, Apo, Evra, Zam, Vitzora, right? Mashlachas Malchiroim. So it says, God sent his Charon Apo, Evra Vazam, Vitzora, Mishlachat Malchiroim. So there were 4 plagues in each and every plague. So in Egypt, how many did they get? Evra is 1, Zam is 2, Tzora is 3, Mishlachat Malchei Roim is 4. From now we understand that every plague that God made on the Egyptians in Egypt, there were 4, so there was 40 in Egypt. And we already learned before there was 5 times as many. That was only the finger of God. And on the sea, there was the whole hand of God, 5 times as more, 200 plagues. They're all sort of branches of the same, exactly what they were, I don't know. But bad enough, there were 200. Rabbi Akiva says 200 is not enough. How do we know that every plague that God brought on the Egyptians in Egypt, there were 5? Because it says, God sent on them Charon Apo, Evra, Zam, Tzora, Mishlachas Malchei Roim. Charon Apo is 1. Evra 2. Zam 3. Tzora 4. Mishlachat Malchei Roim, the Roim, that's 5. Now we know that in Egypt there were really 50 plagues. Each one that we said, one was all divided into 5 different branches of that particular plague. And on the sea, we already learned that there was 5 times as many. So therefore there was 250. And now we sing the song. Kama milos tovos lamoka molinu. How many good things is for God that did God do for us? And we sing. Ilu hotzi anu mi Mitzrayim. There's 2 ways to sing it. There's the way the Chabad sings it and everybody else. Everybody sings it, everyone else. Anyway, no, it's not so. I'm sorry, take it back. There's one way everybody sings it. Ilu hotzi anu mi Mitzrayim v'lo asa b'hem shafatim. Lo asa b'hem shafatim dayenu. Ilu asa b'hem shafatim lo asa b'Elohim. Lo asa Elohim Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. There's a big song about. There's a story about that also, which maybe I'll tell you the story. We'll see if we have time. So it says, if God would have taken us out of Egypt and He didn't do enough, and He didn't judge the non-Jews, that would have been enough. If God would have judged the non-Jews, the Egyptians, and He didn't smite their gods, that wouldn't have been enough. If okay, let's see. Here we go. If God would have judged the gods, if Hashem would have judged the gods of the Egyptians and didn't kill their firstborn, it would have been enough. If He would have killed the firstborn, but He didn't give us their money, if He would have given the money, but He didn't split the sea, if He would have split the sea and He didn't take us across it on dry land, He would take us across it, but not on dry land, it would be mud. Then we learned the sikh about that. That's called the mixture of good and bad. If God would have taken across the dry land, the sea on dry land, but He didn't sink our enemies, didn't drown our enemies in it, that would have been enough. If He would have sunk our enemies in it and He didn't give our necessities 40 years in the desert, that would have been enough. If God would have given us our necessities 40 years in the desert and He didn't give us the manna to eat, He would have given it some other way, that would have been enough. If He would have given us the manna and He didn't give us the Shabbos, that would have been enough. We're not finished. If He gave us the Shabbos and He didn't bring us to Mount Sinai, it would have been enough. If He took us to Mount Sinai and He didn't give us the Torah, because on Mount Sinai there was the revelation of God. The revelation of God would have been enough. If He would have given us the Torah and He didn't take us to the land of Israel, we just have the Torah in the desert, that would have been enough. It would have been a miracle. But if He would have taken us into the land of Israel, but He didn't build the holy temple, that would have been enough. And now the Chabad song is Allah has kama v'kama tov v'kavula kumfeles amokom molenu shahotzianu otzianu mimitzrayim ay 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 ay. But He did all these things for us, and therefore we should be happy. This is the Jews probably standing under Mount Sinai. Actually, pretty creative pictures over here. Actually, see, this is the backs of the head. If you look at it, it's actually pretty amazing. Okay, I take back any not positive thing I said about this artist. He's very good. All right, let's try to do this quickly. Maybe I can get him to tell you the story. Reverend Gamliel, he said, anyone who doesn't say three things on the night of Pesach, he has not filled his obligation. What is it? Pesach, that's the sacrifice, which we don't have today, but we still make several hints at it, like the bone and all the afikomen in the end. Matzah and moror. Pesach that our fathers were eating and the time the Beit HaMikdash was because God jumped over on the fathers, or he had mercy on the houses of our fathers. Like it said, this is the Paschal Lamb that God jumped over the houses of the Israelis, of the Jews, of Bnei Israel, and they weren't Israelis yet. They didn't go to the land of Israel. In fact, none of these people that were here got to the land of Israel. They all died in the desert. When God smote the Egyptians and saved our houses, and all the people bowed down, etc. Listen, the people who were under 20 years old when they left, they did go into the land of Israel. But anyone who was 20 or older, they died. And there's nobody that was more than 60 years old got into the land of Israel. Okay, that's the Pesach offering. That was the first mitzvah we did, right? We slaughtered the Pesach offering and we ate it. And that was the God of the Egyptians also. Matzah. Now, each time you say this, you say matzah, you touch the matzah that we eat. Because why? Because there was not enough time for the dough of our fathers to raise up, because God appeared to them and pushed them out of Egypt. And we just learned a mimer, remember, in the morning about this. Two types of matzah. Like it says that they cooked the matzah that they took from its matzot. Why? Because they were evicted from Egypt. It's a sentence in the Torah. They were evicted from Egypt, and they could not delay, and also they didn't take any food with them either. Moror, this is because our lives were bitter. God made our lives bitter when we touched the moror. In every generation, a person must see himself as though he went out of Egypt. He's going out of Egypt. And the Alter Rebbe, the Tanya, says every generation, every day, you have to see yourself. What does that mean? Seeing that your Judaism should be expressed in the physical world. Don't let the world imprison you. Like it says, we said it before. Not our forefathers alone were redeemed from Israel, from Egypt, but also we were redeemed from Egypt. Like it says, if God wouldn't have taken us out, we would still be there. Like it says, Otanu otzi misham, God took us out. Therefore, because we are out of Egypt and we're direct relatives of the people who got out of Egypt, therefore, we are obligated to give praise. To another word for praise. How does he translate it? Lahalel, lahodot, to praise, to give thanks, to give, how do you say, another one, laud, the pa'er, the romaim, all these beautiful words. Let's see how he translates it. The one who did all these miracles he did before, that God did to us. Let's see how he translates this. The next page is going to be translation. There it is. Thus it is our duty to thank, to laud. I got laud. Okay. Praise, glorify, exalt, adore. Okay, adore. Bless. English doesn't have such good words relating to God. To bless, to elevate, to honor the one who did all these miracles for us, our fathers, took us from slavery to freedom, sorrow to joy, mourning to festivity, deep darkness to great light, bondage to redemption. Therefore, let us say, hallelujah. Let us praise God. Hallelujah means to halal, means to make shine, and Yah is God's name. So we don't say hallelujah. We say, unless we're saying it in a sentence, we say hallelujah. But when we send, this is a sentence from Psalms. Hallelujah. Here we go. And these are, now we're saying Psalms of King David. Let's go back a little bit. Here we go. Hallelujah. Abdeyad Hashem. Hallelujah. Hashem Hashem. Yishem Hashem Mavorach Me'atav Olam. We say 4 Psalms and we finish. You can see the translation. Okay. Too far. All right. So basically, I see it. Here it is. So we say these 4 Psalms. This is the Psalms we say in the Hallel prayer. And we pick up the cup and we say, actually, we held the cup up all this time. And we say, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu, our God, the King of the universe, that he redeemed us and redeemed our forefathers from Egypt. And he brought us to this night. And we're eating now matzah and morah. Also, God, the God of our fathers, bring us to more holidays. They're coming in front of us. We should do it in the Holy Temple. And we, in peace, in joy, binyan rechat, to build the base of Mikdash. There we will build, we'll make the sacrifices the way they should be. We'll sing a new song, shir, not shir rachadash, shir, masculine, strong, on our Dayenu, on our redemption. So this whole night is really talking about the future redemption, which I hope it won't be future by the time we get to it. It'll already, and on the Pedut Mashenu, the God redeemed our soul. Blessed are you, God, Goal Yisrael, that you are the redeemed of the Jewish people. And then we take the cup, lean over. Every time you drink a cup, you have to lean over to the left. And you say, blessed are you, God, Brei Pri Hagafen, drink the whole entire cup. Drink the whole entire cup. It says there was one rabbi that he couldn't drink wine, but he drank it in his head. He had to bind his head up for 50 days from the pain, but it was still big mitzvah. And then, okay, and now we're leaving. Okay, then you wash your hands for bread. You go to the bread, to the matzah, take all 3 pieces, say, amotzi lechem min haaretz. You drop the bottom piece, you make bracha to Hashem, asher kishen mitzvah, and you eat from the 2 top pieces, the whole middle one and half of the top one. Then after that, you eat the morah, and you lean over. When you're eating the matzah also, you have to lean over to your left. Then you eat the morah, then you make a sandwich of the morah together inside of the matzah, that's the bottom one, that's called the korach. You lean also over there and you eat it, and then you make the meal. And basically, we finished the whole order of the night. Finally, at the end of the meal, the last thing you do is eat the afikomen, that's called safun, and that basically ends the whole order of the night of Passover. Then we say a whole big Hallel, but we'll talk about that. You'll see in this, you say a Hallel, and you drink the 4th cup afterwards, and you're happy for the rest of your life. And God will bring the Mashiach for sure this Pesach, and everyone will know about it. And in the middle of Passover, Pesach, all of the Jews will be here. The Beis HaMikdash will be in Yerushalayim. Somehow or other, all the Jews in the world will be here in Israel, and it'll be a really happy time. Have a good, happy holiday. I don't think there will be a class tomorrow. God bless you all. Hopefully there will be classes in Chol HaMoed in the middle days, in the intermediate days. So hope to see you all then. God bless you all. Pesach Kasher V'Sameach with the Rebbe Melech Mashiach now.